Don't scare democracy. 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 Don't scare democracy.
I'm sorry you're not invited guests here. Not invited guests. Not invited guests.
What we're saying to the other candidates is that they should not follow your lead because the people of the state are disdainful of the positions that you're taking, and they're outraged because they believe in democracy. That's the foundation of our country, and we have every right to be there. It's not just the two of us. It's actually the exclusion of the people of New Hampshire. And you all should be ashamed of yourself because your democracy scats. Shame on you. Shame on anybody who'd stand here, and shame on every candidate who dares to cross this line in opposition to what the people want. This is what democracy has come to in this country, and we the people have every right to object to it. Shame on you!
My name is Fred Newman, and I have the honor and the privilege of being the campaign manager of the obviously best candidate for President of the United States. I've also had the privilege over the last month to be spending a good deal of time up here in Manchester and throughout the state of New Hampshire. Dr. Fulani, myself, have been wonderfully and warmly and graciously and movingly accepted and responded to and given so much by the ordinary people of New Hampshire. As you know, because the papers have been telling you this every day, Dr. Lenora B. Fulani is not a real Democrat. Because she doesn't play the white male game that is the Democratic Party. Yeah. In fact, what she does is to expose that game of those PACs and those interests that are in opposition to the interest of the American people. She does that with relish, she does that with grace, she does it with militancy, she does it with poise, and that's why she ain't in that debate at 7 o'clock tonight. Our idea of democracy, Lenora Fulani's idea of democracy, is not just to bring people in secretly and have them appear on television where no one else can see them. Our idea of democracy is to have the people speak. When you listen to these major party presidential candidates, when you hear them talk about health care, when you hear them talk about housing, about jobs for Americans, you would never guess that it's they and their party, together with the Republican Party, that have failed the American people in those very areas for 40 years. We have a candidate, a friend, a loved one, a dear human being, a powerful, brilliant human being who says what she believes what she says. She stands for young people. She stands for democracy, and she practices it every damn day of her life. Dr. Lenora B. Fulani.
I just wanted to begin by sharing with you a quote from Dr. King, which is really about ordinary people, but psychologists came up with another word for us. And I thought it would be a fitting reminder of what we're up against. The quote says, "Today, psychologists have a favorite word, and that word is maladjusted. I tell you today that there are some things in our social system to which I am proud to be maladjusted. I shall never be adjusted to lynch mobs, segregation, economic inequality, the madness of militarism, self-defeating physical violence, and if Dr. King were alive today, he would say homelessness. The salvation of the world lies in the maladjusted. Ordinary people, power to us."
So you're unhappy with the Democrats and Republicans. How about the controversial New Alliance Party and its candidate, Dr. Lenora Fulani? The Fulani campaign has already raised nearly $2 million.
I think everybody who writes that check out to Dr. Lenora B. Fulani for president, I think what they're saying to me, and about politics in this country is we want new ideas, we want new leadership, we want broader choices, we want more. We're pro-choice. We're for the civil rights of the African American and Latino community, of the gay and lesbian community. We have a very serious left-of-center politics.
The American people know how to root, win or lose, for a hometown team. We have to learn to do that with politics as well, to vote for someone not because he or she will win this time around, but because it's the right thing to do. I'm here tonight with a busload of people who've come in from Harlem, from the African American and Latino community, to dialogue with people from New Hampshire so that we can come together and bypass the partisan politics, the big business politics, so that we can do something about the health care system. Many professional politicians in this country have asked, of course, would agree that we need better health care, but this is not a new idea. Our people have been suffering as a lack of it for many years. The Democrats and Republicans over the years have spent trillions of dollars, for example, in protecting us from a Soviet Union that many people had pointed out was never going to be big enough to bite us or hurt us. Now that we've discovered that that's not the case, that we don't need to put our monies, our millions and trillions of dollars into that kind of protection, think of what it would have meant for those trillions to go into a cure for AIDS. Think of what it would have meant for those trillions of dollars to go into developing a national health care policy. It is my opinion and belief that the only way we could possibly impact in that way is if we come together as regular, ordinary people and insist that we have the things that we need.
I think she's wonderful. I love her opinions. I think she's very well spoken.
So do you still consider yourself an undecided, or you?
I think I'm going to vote for her tomorrow. I'm that impressed. I'm impressed enough that she's made it easy for me.
What we've been taught, because many of us are living under a ration plan, is that the white middle-class people in New Hampshire who are losing their jobs have been taught that they have to live these ways because the money is going to inner cities, to African-American people, to poor people in Harlem. And then what the people in Harlem are being taught is just the reverse, that they have to suffer, that their emergency rooms are being closed in major cities around this country because the money is going to white youth or white hospitals or white middle-class people. That's why I think it's extremely important, once again, for there to be intensive dialogue between people from around this country so that we can decide what we want and how we want our money spent, so we can decide what the priorities are, so that we don't let these people ration our lives away. There's money in this country. There were billions of dollars spent in a war that many people did not support. Why can't we be in a position as regular folks in America to decide that instead we want that money to go into finding a cure for AIDS, instead we want that money to go into to guaranteeing that every infant has all kinds of vaccinations that they deserve.
Thank you, Ms. Fulani.
And we can only do that together as the people of this country.
We used the fight for inclusion in the debates to point out that it's not just about me, it's not just about Larry Agron, it's not just about Eugene McCarthy, that in fact it's about the people of this country being locked out and shut up and spat on, and that was what we were responding to. And that's a very powerful message that people heard, that they helped to build, that they helped to share, and we want to continue to take this out all over the country. If we the people, and that's not just a slogan, if we the people are not involved in decision making in America, then we won't have jobs, we won't have a serious and real economy that works for us, we won't have health care, we won't have education. In fact, our young people won't have a future.
This is Sound Off on WNHQ. I'm Larry Barnes. We're talking to Lenora Fulani.
Lenora Fulani is definitely exciting. She's very verbal. She is involved. She seems to be interested and involved with what she says and not just reciting a position paper that some staffer has written.
You know, I've been having this, it's fun, there are lots of white men here in New Hampshire. In fact, most of the men are. And, you know, I go to these candidates' nights, and I walk in, and, you know, I can hear their heads going,
That's the nicer ones. Right. And they sit there and they're looking very stern and they have their newspapers in front of their faces. And then 3 sentences into my talk, they realize that I've said more than Clinton said as governor of Arkansas over the last 12 years. So then they start to pull the paper down. And bit by bit, there's this connection. It's like powerful. And we're doing this thing together. And at the end, it's clear I've touched them, and they don't know what to do with it, because 6 months ago, when they were thinking about who they were going to vote for president, never one of the options. Like, they don't quite know what to make of this. And this one man, they come to me, they say, you're such a breath of fresh air, but you're a black woman. I've been very moved by these exchanges, because what they really speak to, actually what I've been teaching people is that difference is what we've got to use. It's awkward because we're sort of learning how to do this new dance together called democracy. Ain't nobody taught us no steps. The people who are running this country don't have any connection to it. We're creating it together. Many of you know me as the candidate with the big black woman's mouth who caused all the controversy over the debates. You must have wondered why so much energy has gone into keep me from being heard. It's because of what it is that I have to say about the State of the Union. It's because of what I have to say about who killed America. The American economy and its inseparable companion, American democracy, are in shambles today. Who assassinated America? The question that must be asked, which none of the so-called major candidates dare to ask, is how did this happen? How did America wind up a second-rate economic power to Japan and Germany? How did the democracy of the founding fathers wind up as the closed and pack-controlled men's club it is today? Who assassinated America? It's a disturbing question, and the answer is even more disturbing. And it's because I dare to ask that question, and because I dare to have an answer to it, that the so-called Big Five and their handlers are so concerned to keep my mouth shut. But letting me, and more importantly, letting you into the process is the only hope America has of rebuilding its economy and revitalizing its democracy. None of my major opponents has much to say about how we wound up in this mess, how it is that our industrial manufacturing base has shrunk so dramatically, how America has become a second-rate economic power. Yet any serious attempt to work our way out of this collapse must include an understanding of how we got here in the first place. Predictably, the Democratic majors blamed the Reagan-Bush administration and so-called supply-side trickle-down economics. What this covers over is their active complicity of the party and of its leaders in implementing every one of the Reagan-Bush administration's pro-rich, anti-poor policies. This is a historical reality which none of my opponents will touch with a 10-foot pole. But the cover-up goes much further than that. While Reagan's economic policies clearly accelerated the collapse, the dry rot of the American economy began much, much earlier than that. Any halfway decent economist or historian will tell you that what got us out of the Great Depression of the 1930s was not FDR's New Deal, but the vast industrial expansion that came with World War II. And what kept it artificially pumped up for 30 years afterwards, while at the same time literally destroying our manufacturing base, was a massive economic restructuring of the United States and the world, which was put into place with two-party support. That restructuring was based on two things. First was the conversion of the economy to a permanent wartime footing, using the now clearly bogus threat of the Soviet Union, and everyone knew it was bogus all along. The US government became the permanent sugar daddy of the so-called defense industry. During the early 50s alone, the US military budget jumped from $14 billion to $34 billion. And as we all know, that was just the beginning of the endless spiral of military spending. The problem with this, of course, was that military production is dead in production. It produces nothing that leads to further production, nothing that contributes to the development of the economy. It produced tools for killing people, which are sold primarily to dictators around the world and are only used by the U.S. in the periodic wars and invasions staged, in part to justify further military production. The second major element of the post-World War II restructuring of the economy was the Bretton Woods Agreement, which tied the value of the world's currencies to the U.S. dollar. Cutting the value of money totally free from silver or gold opened vast opportunities to U.S. speculators. If your government controls the value of the paper on the market, it gives your paper traders one hell of an advantage. Truly incredible amounts of money have been made through the buying and selling of money, with the resulting exodus of capital from manufacturing and other productive enterprises. Like military production, speculation is non-productive and non-developmental. Put simply, it corroded the manufacturing base in this country. This restructuring was not an accident. The economy is not a natural phenomenon. It is the conscious activity of human beings making choices about how and what to produce. And the decisions made by the Republicans and Democrats over the past 40 years have resulted in the death of the American economy. The issue I bring before you is not simply whether or not I'm allowed into a debate. I'm not allowed into a debate because they know I'm the only candidate who will speak about the cause of the Depression and point the finger at the killers of our country and our economy. That's why saving America's economy is synonymous with saving America's democracy. Because when they restructured the economy, how and what we produce in the late 40s and early 50s, they simultaneously restructured our democracy in ways that made it almost impossible for dissident and independent voices to be heard, and effectively iced ordinary people out of the political process. That's why I am issuing a call for the deregulation of democracy. There is no more monopolized and regulated industry in the United States of America than politics. The founding fathers of this nation had a profound fear of political parties. They knew very well that the establishment of parties would turn democracy into a business. This man is holding a stop sign in front of me because because my time is up. I just want to leave you with a very simple message. They're trying to shut me up again. Before I leave, I'm staying to hear the other candidates, but I'm leaving before Bush's State of the Union address. I know what the State of the Union is. It's a mess. What I want you to take with you is that this battle in this state ain't about a debate for me. It's about democracy and jobs for the people of this country. Hell, if you don't like me, vote for Agron, vote for McCarthy, vote for Curley, vote for Tom, vote for any of the so-called minor candidates. Don't just vote for them who have participated in killing our economy. I don't care what kinds of adjectives you put in front of their names.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I will be back because I'm going to take this message everywhere, because you guys have killed America and you stand indicted. Power to our people. I'll see you in the streets. You should leave with me. Thank you.
She has a lot of good ideas, and I was really impressed by that, about wanting to help the poor people and to bring the economy back to the way it should be, and about the health care and just the ordinary people of this country that is really suffering right now.
I think foreign policy, like domestic policy in this country, has to have input from, be shaped by, and determined by the interests and concern of the American people, rather than a handful of folks in a back room who make decisions. I think the most concrete things about the foreign policy, if you want to call it a policy, that the U.S. government currently employs is based on greed and also racism. There's a double standard by which countries of color are related to worldwide, and we see that in the current treatment of Haiti. We see it in the situation in Zaire. We see it everywhere we look. One of the things that we've been speaking about is that after World War II, this country put tremendous amounts of monies in the rebuilding of Japan and Germany, and built up its corporate structure so that they have created goods that we sit over here and dream of having. And as tons and tons of money was poured from this nation into those two nations, our economy was allowed to fall apart. Our industry was allowed to fall apart. Who made that bright decision? The American people, if they had been privy to it, would never have supported it because it wasn't good for our economy, and that's a lot of what we're experiencing in the breakdown of jobs and the future of our children today. One thing that I might add, I went to Haiti about a month ago with a contingent of black leadership under the leadership of Reverend Al Sharpton. I went there when the decision was made to send the Haitian refugees back, an outrageous decision because what we were sending them back to was death. And one of the things that I committed myself to on Haitian soil was to continue to put the issue of Haiti and the fight for democracy and the restoration of Father President Aristide back smack dab in the midst of this presidential dialogue. It's one of the most important democracy fights going on in the world, and we've created, by virtue of our funding, the Tonton Makuta and the military there, so we have an obligation to do something about what's happening in Haiti today. One of the reasons why that's not a major topic in the Democratic Party debates is because Ron Brown, prior to being chair of the Democratic National Committee, worked for a law firm here in Washington, D.C. that represented Baby Doc. So this stuff has to be exposed and dialogued about, and people have to be called to the table on it. It's a complete and utter outrage. Again, I've been a staunch supporter of the democracy movement in Zaire that, currently in the face of millions of people in the street there at this moment cannot get any real support because the State Department here in this country is backing up Mobutu, who is a vicious killer. And the degree to which the American people don't know about that, Mobutu's reign will continue. That's why a democracy movement, both here and internationally, is so very important.
To keep one single
See this? This is an outrage. They also broke my finger. And they took my shoe. Anyway, this is a complete outrage. And actually, who's responsible for this is the borough president's office. They actually set the cops up like this because what they ended up doing was creating a situation where when we got online, they closed the gate to keep me out. They didn't say that, but they kept the rest of the press out because they don't want the people in this country and the people in this city inside of these halls so that we can challenge a Clinton or a Brown. And so they allow this Democratic Party to come in and attack grassroots leaders in the African American community. This is an outrage, and we're going to continue to fight until we tear these walls down. Yeah! We're talking about democracy. It's unbelievable that they went through all of this to keep Eugene McCarthy and Larry Agrin out of the race. This is what this is all about. That's right. These cops are lined up. This campus looks like it's occupied. This is supposed to be America. The only thing that we are trying to do is to make a statement that the issues of the Black and Latino community will be included. And we'll continue to make this statement. I will continue to fight. They can beat the shit out of me if that's what they want to do, but we're going to fight until we win our rights. That's right. Absolutely important. That's right. While we're standing on line, and they closed it down illegally. They closed it down illegally. And they literally set up the cops, the Secret Service, some combination of that, and Fernando Ferrer, who not only did not let the Latino press in, he's not let the Latino and Black community in to this in any real way, and we should respond very strongly to it. That's right. Expose them! Expose them! We're still in the midst of the legal challenge, but we're going to have to stay in the streets, and everywhere they go, we're going to kick Clinton and Brown are responsible for this because they're so scared of people that they will go out of their way and do whatever that they can do in order to keep us shut up. So that's who's responsible. Clinton and Brown, and who are blocking Larry Agrin and Eugene McCarthy, the Democratic Party, Fernando Ferrer, and every elected official who set this up. How would you characterize what's going on in there tonight? It's like the goddamn Gestapo. Look at that. We just want democracy. Well, this is what's going on inside. I can't see it. I got a pass. This is a pass. And it doesn't say no niggers allowed. It's a pass. This is what it would take to get in. And I stood on the line and I was locked out. Clinton is a racist. Send him back to Arkansas. Clinton is a racist. Send him back to Arkansas. Clinton is a racist. No. On this one. No, you let it move. Go, push it. And get out. I want this. I want this. That's evidence. That's evidence. We have enough people out here. Hold their position. Y'all should take down badge numbers. Let's move it back anywhere. We're not covered by the Constitution anymore.
So first of all, I'd like to welcome people here tonight, and I just wanted to open up with a few remarks about what that was all about, because literally what it is what happens if you try to fight for democracy in this country. This is a statement of how the power brokers are responding to the struggle and the demand that the debates be opened so that everybody running for president of the United States is included. We are not fighting. We're not in the midst of a battle requesting that David Dinkins or Mario Cuomo or the Democratic Party overthrow the government. What we're asking them to do is to open up the debates so that two people, Larry Agrin and Eugene McCarthy, both of whom I got on the ballot, which speaks obviously therefore to their relationship to the grassroots community and the Black and Latino community, that they be let into the debates. They're on the ballot, they qualified, they're bona fide candidates, and because of the exclusionary practices
of the Democratic Party, state and nationally, they have been literally locked out. The reason why I was not let into that debate at Neiman College was that Fernando Ferrer, who's the borough president of the Bronx, who blacks and Latinos worked to put in office, at least voted for him, after he was the hand-picked candidate of the Democratic Party, sent the word out that under no circumstances was I to be allowed in that debate. I had the ticket, I was ready, there was no reason for them to do that, other than I think that they're making a very strong statement about what they see as the political agenda and the issues and who's going to conduct politics in this city, state, and country. And I think that we have to respond to these forces not by backing down, not by getting intimidated, not by macho responses that can get our brains blown up or out or whatever, but by standing up and fighting very strongly in behalf of more democracy in America. There's a way in which people respond to the struggle for democracy as if it's some kind of passive, limp, wimpish kind of struggle, as if it has no meat and guts to it. But that's one way of understanding how the power brokers see this demand. They know goddamn well that if they open up this process, that if the people of this country have political referendums where we decide what we want as social policy, if we're allowed to have referendums and open debates where we decide what the economic and political priorities are, if people start voting at the age of 18 and remain on the voter registration books through the time that they die instead of being purged every 4 years, if in fact there is a fairness doctrine where candidates running for president of the United States or dog catcher are allowed equal time opportunities. If all of these things happen and this process is opened up, they know that more democracy will hurt them. And that's why they're so willing to go out of their way in order to make sure that this process is closed down. And that's why we have to be even more willing to go out of our way and demand that it be open.